Is that recording? That's not recording yet. That was weird. I just disappeared and then came back again.
In and out.
Here I am. Okay. Hello, everybody. Here we are with the next block of training that's coming up. So just apologies, I got the email out a little bit late, what I had done previously. So obviously a few people weren't able to make the call tonight, but as you know, I record these and I upload them to YouTube. And actually, it's really worthwhile doing because we get quite a lot more people viewing the videos than are actually members of the training plan. So that's kind of cool. Obviously, some people are interested in what we're doing. So hopefully those of you that are watching and aren't a member of the training plan, get in touch. It would be great to help you out as you train for your next event. I'm just going to unmute you guys so that it's not just me talking to myself. So if you have any questions, you can fire up. But yeah, so as we come into this next phase of training, you'll notice that things have stepped up a little bit. Those of you that are doing Ironman in March, you're now doing the build one plan. So you've started the build process. The base training has gone or has passed by, even though you're still doing some aerobic endurance work. In the next 4 to 8 weeks, it starts stepping up a little bit in the resistance and the training load from that regard. And for those of you that are doing the 70.3, you're coming to the race plan. So quite a different layout for those of you that are racing in 4 weeks' time, as opposed to those that are doing the Ironman and pushing straight through. And also there are people who are doing the Ironman and doing the 70.3 in 4 weeks' time. And for those people, we have another training plan for you to add to your calendar to allow for some taper as you come into that race. So I hope that all makes sense. Let's share the screen. So I'll talk you through the aspects of these next training plans. So here we are with the build one plan. So this is for the Ironman athletes, and as I said, this is as you know, this is beginner, intermediate, advanced. They're all very similar. There might be a few subtle changes in the number of intervals, the duration of the intervals, or even some extra bike rides for the advanced people. But actually, the structure of the sessions are all exactly the same. So technique swim, as you know, we need to do technique. Monday technique swim's great because it's kind of a recovery session from a pretty heavy weekend. And as we progress through this plan, that active recovery on a Monday becomes more and more important because those weekend sessions will start stepping up quite a bit. As we go into the Tuesday session, we're looking at a flat big gear workout. I really like this sort of stuff. This really builds some good quality musculature which you will need later in the race when things start getting quite tough. The conditions will start hitting you. The road seems even rougher as it was the previous lap, and just being able to roll the big gear to just keep the bike moving is actually really beneficial. And the muscle fibers that you generate through this big gear work is really helpful anyway in just normal muscle physiology. So flat big gear work is really, really important. 3 by 10 minutes, 3 by 12, and 4 by 12 for those of you doing the intermediates. As you can see, there's the progression, easy recovery in between, and if you can do it in aero bars, it's even better. Cadence wise, 70 to 80 RPM, but you might find that 80 RPM is even too low, so you might find that 85 is more your cadence. It really is just a natural thing as to what feels a lower cadence than normal. And for some riders, particularly females, who generally do ride with a lower cadence anyway, you might find that 60 to 70 RPM is more appropriate for you. So you're the boss with that one. But I just want you to feel like you're pushing a lower cadence than you normally would in interval work. And it's just a steady tempo. It's not it's not hard. It's not a hard intensity, but as you get through that 10 minutes or the 12 minutes, it does actually start feeling quite tough. So you'll need to fuel really well for these sort of sessions as well. Make sure you're loading up on carbs as you go through the workout. Aerobic run in the afternoon, just ticking over the legs. Wednesday morning endurance swim. Wednesday afternoon hill repeats. So here we go with more resistance this time in the running. I like a 3-minute hill. You might find that you prefer a slightly longer one, maybe 5 minutes. Generally don't go less than 3 because you do need that stimulus over that moderate duration. Yeah, depending on which plan you're following, you'll be doing 4, 5, or 6. I think in the advanced it even goes up to 8 by 3 minutes. Run a strong pace, but it's not flat out. But you'll certainly see your heart rate elevate. And as you go through the session, if you're trying to maintain the same pace on the hill, you'll see your heart rate increase steadily as you go. Easy jog back down to recover. And if you're feeling extra energetic, you can do 2 lots of 10 step ups on each leg after every 3rd hill repeat at the top of the hill. And I just, where I do my hill repeats, I've got a park bench, or there's actually a small rock wall as well that I can do it on, and I can just do those there. And that's really good for something to just add a little bit more stress to the muscles and a little bit more load. Thursday, this is quite a tough session. That's why I've really only got one workout on this day for these ones. So with this one, we're working at threshold. So it's 6 minutes for the intermediates, and we're stepping up in the number of them as well. And this will be holding a reasonably slightly higher than normal cadence. So we're going the other end of the cadence spectrum for this one. And in terms of intensity, this is a threshold. So it's 95 to 100% of your FTP. But if you want to back this off a little bit, which you can do in the full gas sessions, you can drop this back maybe even 5% if you want to take it down, even 10% if you just feel like that target that we've set is a little bit too high. It's got to feel about 7 or 8 out of 10. I don't really, if you're feeling like you're pushing 9 or 10 out of 10 effort, it's probably a little bit too high for you. So everyone's a little bit different in that regard. If you're feeling it's a little less than 7 out of 10 effort, then your FTP probably needs to be increased, and you can do that in your own settings, which is a great sign. It means that you're getting fitter and stronger. Friday speed swim session, and onto the Saturday long ride. We're going to start seeing the duration of these long rides stepping up. I want a lot of these to be done in the aero bars, so find a nice course that you feel you can just stay in the aero bars for a long period of time. Those of you who are in Auckland, I find that cycling the Kaiawa Coast Loop is perfect for this sort of ride, or heading out towards Aka, Port Waikato, around that area is also very good as well. Run off the bike, easy pace, 30 minutes. The reason why it's an easy 30 is because most people, when they do run off the bike, particularly even on race day, generally run too fast. So I'm trying to get people into the habit of running a little bit slower off the bike, because later on in the run, it's when it starts getting really tough. And what would be feeling like an easy pace at the beginning of the run starts feeling like a very, very difficult pace. So if you start off the run off the bike too fast, it becomes a natural feeling, which in general is probably too fast for an Ironman pace run. And then the long run on the weekend, on the Sunday, we're stepping up in volume in this as well. As you see through the weeks, as usual, we're stepping up in the progression. The one thing that's a little bit different for some of you is the Sunday run. We start going into a build workout. Some of you will still have an endurance workout, but this is important because we're stepping up in intensity and lowering the duration of the intensity blocks as that run goes. So these start getting quite tough. It's an hour 45, but the way it's structured is it kind of has the effect of a 2.5 or 2.25 to 2 hour 20 run, because we're adding some intensity towards the end of it. So this is the way cheat the body, or I'd trick the body into thinking that it's doing a long run when it's still only doing an hour 45. These are really valuable workouts, and this is the reason why that Monday technique swim becomes a lot more important, because it is a nice relaxed workout, even though the technique does require some focus. Obviously, as we go through to the 4th week, we have that lighter week, throwing in some stride outs through there on the Wednesday. The run off the bike on the Saturday becomes a little bit longer. The long run on the Sunday goes back to just a steady state long run, and a little bit shorter than the build runs had been in the weeks previous. So that is the Ironman Build 1. Jumping over to 70.3 race. So this is, you'll see the structure of this is quite different to those of you who are doing the Ironman. First week we go into a time trial week. The reason why I do this is because it's close enough to the race that any changes that have been made in your thresholds from the previous 8 weeks of training can be reassessed and altered in your settings, and from there you can start planning your race intensity and getting your race intensity correct. So when you do your run time trial, if you find that your run pace has improved, then you'll need to go and or your lactate threshold heart rate has changed from the previous run session you did of the same workout. Then you go through to your settings and you change your heart rate and you change your pace settings to what the new one is, because later on in the weeks your workouts will be based on those new values. So it's really important to do that session properly, which is why we have that day off prior to it. Endurance swim on Wednesday, easy jogs Wednesday night, bike time trial on Thursday. So again, similar to what you had done previously, we'll do either the 20-minute FTP test if you're happy doing that. If you're using full gas, you can do that session in there, or if you're using Zwift or Trainer Road, you can do the ramp test. Whichever you did the first time you did this bike time trial, you should do the same again for this time. And again, update your settings with the new value, whether it's gone up or down, doesn't matter. A lower threshold is still okay. If it's gone down, there are a number of factors why. It doesn't always need to be increasing, but what it does do is it sets the tone for your workouts to come accurate to what your actual threshold is. Now, the reason why bike thresholds can change, can go down, is generally as you go through this training process, we lose body weight just by nature of the workouts, and so a lower body weight yields lower power, and so which in turn might actually still be a higher watt per kilo value. So whilst you may have lost weight and your threshold has reduced, it might not have reduced as much as your weight had dropped from the previous time, and so your watts per kilo has actually improved, which is a great thing, especially on the 70.3 Taupo course, where there's a lot more climbing than there had been previously. Having a better watt per kilo value is actually beneficial. The other thing also is your economy and efficiency may have improved as well. So you're putting out less power at threshold, but you might be able to stay at close to threshold for longer, which is again a great asset to have. So don't look at a lowering bike threshold as a negative. Just see it as this is what it is. Friday CSS swim session. Again, this is just to remind yourself that your swim fitness has improved. It'd be nice to see this value improving from the previous time you did it. Obviously, that's an indicator that your swimming has improved. So hopefully that's something that you notice. And then as you go into the weekend ride, it's a race effort at the back end of that ride. So the last 60K, so head out for a ride of approximately 3 hours, but make the last 60Ks close to race day effort and making sure that you fuel as if it was a race. The run off the bike is pretty hard. It's a fartlek run off the bike over unders, and you need to be fueled well for that. So that 60K portion of that bike leg is really, really important that you do it properly, fuel properly, get off the bike, and hit that run really, really well. Generally, towards the end of that that 60k race effort, I will probably have a gel about 20 minutes from the end of it, because I want to know that I'm getting off the bike with a good amount of carbs in the system, and I'm able to hold that intensity for the duration of the run. And you'll probably need to have another gel partway through the run as well. Carry a bottle with some water or liquid carbohydrates with you, and or even have someone ride alongside you on a bike. This is basically race simulation, which we're trying to do here. Long run on the weekend on the Sunday is a build version, so similar to what the Ironman athletes are doing. That weekend workout is pretty tough, and you'll see the weekend workouts are continuing to be quite tough for the next week or so. Monday, the following week, is a speed swim. Then we go into some taper sessions. So we're 3 weeks out from the race. We're going to start tapering you down. So doesn't mean that things are dropping off too much. It just means that the stimulus and the style of training has changed. So we're going for shorter intervals, still at race effort, but we're not hitting you with the big long efforts that you had been doing previously. A little bit more running off the bike. Still working some hill repeats. You see that Wednesday session's still got some hills in it. Thursday bike session is quite solid again, but shorter duration intervals. Through to the Sunday race simulation, again, very similar to what you had done the previous week, but this time we've got an open water swim added to it. Swim approximately 2 kilometers, 1800 to 2 kilometers. A 70.3 swim is actually 1.9k, so just don't get too picky about the distance that you're swimming, as long as you are putting in a decent amount of effort in that swim. Transition, if you can, transition quickly onto the bike. Do that same session that you had done the week previously with 60Ks at the end of it at race effort, straight into that run. And by the time you get to the end of this, you would have almost done a 70.3 anyway, but you would have had a little bit more gaps through the day, and giving yourself that time, that chance to recover. This is what we're going to take through to the race day. The information and the sensations that you get from this session will be very, very close to what you're going to be doing on race day. Long build run, and then again, a very similar structure to the taper sessions through the following week. That Saturday prior is a little bit less. You can see we're starting to really wind things down a little bit. Slightly a shorter run on the Sunday, and then you go into race week, where again we're dropping the volume right back. Becomes a lot shorter, still maintaining some effort around 70.3 intensity, but it starts winding itself down not quite nicely to hit you on race day, hopefully in the best shape you've ever been in your life, which would be really cool. So the important thing is now, for those of you that are, oh, where's my extra plan gone? I might need to just bring this up quickly. Those of you who are doing Ironman New Zealand and are following the build plan, but are doing 70.3 in a couple of weeks' time, this is the plan that'll get you to drop into your calendar. And so that's why we call it the drop-in. So you set this, you go through my plans, select this training plan, go to apply it to your calendar, and make sure that you set the end date as the 10th of December, which is the Sunday down here, and that will drop it on the plan. And you click to override existing workouts, and that will take away the final 2 weeks of that build run plan, and we'll add this taper plan in. And this taper plan is basically the same as the people in doing the 70.3 plan are going to be following. So you can see we're doing the same sort of thing. We're bringing you down in training stress as you get to the race, so that I want you to do that race feeling really, really good. I don't really want you to go into it tired and fatigued from Ironman training. I want you to sort of hit that race feeling really, really good, doing a really good race, having a great performance, being really happy with yourself, come out the back end of it, recovering really well off it, and then get back into your Ironman training again. So the slightly reduced volume over these 2 weeks isn't going to have any effect at all on your Ironman performance. But if we didn't do this, it might have a negative effect on you, how you approach, how you go through the 70.3, and that might knock on to sort of being a bit down about your your training overall. So let's have you do that 70.3 in really good form. And I think that was pretty much all I had to mention in there. Oh yeah, so all these workouts have been added to Full Gas, so you can jump on there at any stage and you can start doing those workouts. The only difference is I just needed to change. Full Gas doesn't accept a workout name with a hashtag in it, so I just need to change the names of those sessions so that they will pop up in your Full Gas in the Foot Traffic Club, so you can follow those workouts online. So just give me a couple of days to get that done, but that won't be coming into play until 2 weeks' time anyway. So that shouldn't be a problem. So if that sort of explains everything to you guys, let me know if you have any questions. Well, hopefully we've answered everything for you. Yeah, like if you do have any questions, please just email me, message me directly, whichever works best for you. I'm happy to just fire away and tell you what you need to know. Anything from you guys, Andrew and Martin? You happy with everything?
Yeah, no, all makes sense. Thanks, Rob. Thanks very much.
That's right. Andrew, you good there?
Yeah, I mean, I guess a quick question, which would be, when do you, I mean, how do you start planning for timings? Like when you're thinking about, right, I want to do a 6-hour bike ride, I want to do a 5-hour bike ride. Like, when do you start thinking about, trying to dial in a little bit of the timing factor for this?
Yeah, that comes in with a bit as we get closer to the race, and we'll start talking that as we get towards the end of January, because if you're training to your best anyway, we know that you're getting in the shape you need to be to perform well. And when you come to camp, we'll talk a little bit about how you can take that information and start building a plan around it. But for most people who are doing their first time doing an Ironman, I try and emphasize the importance is just getting to the finish line. If you've trained really well, you'll get to the finish line in your best shape anyway, and the time will be what it'll be. But if I set you out with a plan to ride 6 hours, I have is 30k an hour. No, it's not. It's 32k an hour, I think. And you're going along in the race, and suddenly you're like, oh, the wind's quite strong. I'm only averaging 28 here. And there have been days where I've been coming back from Reparo and I've been doing 27, 28, thinking, oh, this is not a good day. It can actually throw you off that focus of let's just get to the finish in the best shape possible. But yeah, we'll definitely talk a little bit more about that as we get closer through the plan. But it is a good question. And the other thing I try to avoid too much discussion about is run pace, because the pace of the run is directly related to how hard that bike is for you. And a lot of people don't know how hard the bike will be until you've actually done it. So if you have that plan of, I need to run 5.5 or 6 minute Ks, regardless, but it's been a particularly difficult bike ride, you need to know how to cope with that. And it might, people who have done maybe half a dozen Ironmans will know what it's like and how to deal with those sensations and how to get around them. But people that are often in their first one, it's just, let's just get onto a run. Let's just keep comfortable, keep moving forward. Don't walk through the aid stations if you can avoid it, and just keep ticking over, because you'll actually get faster and faster and faster relatively through the race. It'll feel like you're going faster, but actually you're not, because everything starts hurting. But yeah, does that kind of make sense? For the 70.3 is a little bit different, because 70.3 you can kind of throw caution to the wind a little bit, because it's a lot shorter. I kind of describe a 70.3 effort as being slightly uncomfortable all day, whereas an Ironman effort is uncomfortable all day until it's suddenly not. And that suddenly not might occur at 6 hours, it might occur at 7 hours, it might occur at 9 hours. We just don't know when it's going to come in. But when that all of a sudden it doesn't feel comfortable, then you take stock of where you are on the course. If you're only 100 k's into the bike ride, then we've got trouble. But if you're 25, 26 k's into the run and you're just starting to feel uncomfortable, then you're like, okay, this is a really good day. This is going very, very well to plan. 70.3, slightly uncomfortable all day. You know that you're in the right you're in the right intensity, right zone, and you should feel comfortable sort of riding, swimming, biking, and running the back end of each leg slightly harder effort. So you're building your way through the swim, which is great for a rolling start because you don't have to fight for the first couple hundred meters. You just start the swim and you just gradually increase your intensity through it. Get on the bike, gradually build your speed through your effort through the ride, so you feel like you're finishing stronger than you were at the start. And on that run, building your effort through the run, trying to avoid that slowdown. But the training zones, the thresholds, will help dictate what is actually the correct intensity for you as well. So the CSS pace in the swim is generally the 2Ks, how fast you can swim a 2K flat out, which is probably a little bit faster than you should swim a 70.3 in. So that sort of gives you an idea. If you're swimming 135, 140, 145 for your CSS pace, then maybe your 2K swim speed is going to be 5 seconds per 100 meters slower than that. That gives you a little bit of an idea of how fast that'll be. For the bike, if you're using power, it'll be about, depending on your level of experience, your age, and how well your cycling training has been going, it'll be anywhere from 80 to 87% of threshold. Okay, so 80% of threshold for people that are quite new to the sport, 87% of threshold for the people that are quite experienced and have done a fair bit of racing before. If you're getting closer to 90% of threshold, you're really pushing some risk there, and that's generally what the pro athletes are doing. And the reason why they're doing that is that because they're attacking the bike specifically, and they're putting a lot of effort in because they've trained specifically for that. So I'll try and avoid 90% of threshold as your average for the ride. And on the run, it'll be about 80 to 85% of your threshold run pace. But again, it doesn't take much for that to be thrown off if suddenly you have to start walking because the bike ride was too hard. That suddenly that pace just disappears. For the Ironman, the pace for the swim is probably going to be about 10 seconds per 100 meters slower than your CSS pace. It gives you a little bit of an idea of what that'll be. On the bike, it'll be anywhere from 70 to 76% of threshold would be the safe option for most people. Professionals will be pushing 82 to 85% of threshold. And well-experienced age groupers can probably get to about 80% of threshold. And so that once you get to Taupo and you're able to get on the course and you've got your race gear dialed in the weeks before the race, which you'll do at camp, you lock into that target pace and you see, okay, how fast is this? Am I going 34k an hour? Am I going 32k an hour? Am I going 30k an hour at the pace that we talked about, or that intensity that we're trialing? And what does that equate to on the bike? And then on the run, the run is basically what you run your long runs at, your comfortable long runs at. And that's the reality is most people will start walking at some stage in the Ironman run. And a lot of those people will continue walking, but some people will sort of find that those walk breaks are a chance to just give yourself a bit of a kick up the backside if you've got energy on board, get some fuel in, and then get back into the run again. But that sort of comes down to how well you've gone through the previous swim the bike of that day. So that gives you a little bit of an idea, hopefully.
That's cool. Appreciate that. Thank you.
That's right. But yeah, we're definitely in camp. One of the things that we do is a specific bike session where we'll actually have you riding parts of it on the course at Ironman intensity, key parts of the course. And so afterwards we'll be able to reflect back and go, what were you doing here? Okay, this is what I think is realistic. I think you were going too fast here. I think you had energy in the tank. You could have probably gone a bit harder, and that will help give you some idea around that. Yeah. So is that good?
Awesome. Thanks,
We'll
Bob.
leave it there. Okay, guys, if people watching this, if you have any questions, like I say, just email me, message me. The updated training plans will have synced through to your calendar by Sunday. It's a sort of a tricky process at the moment, so it's all been done behind the scenes, but within the next day or so, you'll see that your calendar has been has had the new portion merged on. So once that's done, then those of you that are doing the 70.3 and the Ironman can go through and add that drop-in plan when the time is right. So we'll leave it there for now. Good luck with the training. Look forward to hearing how it goes.